Long Beach State this is their first time in the tournament since 2021.
My pick's Long Beach State.
I feel like because
if you look at the last 2 years, 115 seed has always won, and if there's out of all of the two seeds,
I feel like this is the.
I feel like this is the worst matchup.
It's the one team. Into episode 4,
5.
That last one we recorded was 4.
This is 5.
I know. I'm thinking we're tuning in to episode 4.
So we have
this is episode 5. We're currently doing the reaction to the NCAA bracket. Right now we have UConn as the 1 seed, and
I like that Florida Atlantic and Northwestern matchup. That's a good one.
I didn't think Florida Atlantic would make it, to be honest, because they lost to.
that Auburn and Yale one will be a good matchup.
No, Auburn's going to kick the crap out of you.
Florida Atlantic, Northwestern.
San Diego State, U of B is going to get demolished on defense. UConn, Stetson doesn't stand a chance. I don't see them standing a chance, really. Usually they reveal it one by one. I'm surprised they did it differently.
I think these are the teams that that punched their ticket.
No. Well, they are all teams that won their.
No, Northwestern.
Oh, yeah, Northwestern.
Who's 7 feet tall, and most Ivy League teams don't have that.
You turn it up with the remote. Yeah, I think San Diego. It'll end up being San Diego State and UConn out of that.
Do you see any upsets here? I see one. I think UAB. I think UAB can beat San Diego State. The way they just played.
He can give UConn a problem. He's not as good as 2 guys.
I think Florida Atlantic or Northwestern could really give UConn a run for its money in the next round. But UConn's such a dominant team, I just don't see anyone that can really beat them. Don't expect Florida Atlantic to make their Cinderella run like they did last year. Gotta go through UConn.
I completely agree with you.
Gotta go through UConn first.
If they can beat them, though.
Yeah, if you can beat UConn, you might as well just win the national championship while you're at it.
Let's go to the bottom of the East bracket now and see how that looks like. And it doesn't really get a whole lot easier than that bottom.
Oh my God.
BYU, first year in the Big 12, was a success. Really good offensive team.
BYU.
3 Big 12 teams right there. Or 2 Big 12, 1 Big 10.
Notice again. 2 more power conference.
I'm shocked Iowa State didn't get the number 1 seed, to be honest.
Iowa State's going to win. I think Iowa State's going to come out of there. The only competition would probably be Illinois.
Yeah. Not a lot
I don't see really any upsets.
BYU's pretty good, but I think
Drake's always average.
Conference tournament round. Any team going to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2008, they'll have their hands full with Tucker DeVries and Drake and Iowa State and the Jackrabbits. Yeah, Washington State, Miles Rice, one of the best freshmen.
these are so cold.
Why would you give me the one you've already bitten off?
Here, you want the fat one? 'Cause that's what you are.
Just one of the hottest players in the nation is coming up dropping 36 points in the Big Ten championship game.
But really, the only upset, I honestly think that Morehead State could beat Illinois. Just looking at it.
And possibly Drake over Washington State. But
And after this, for a separate episode, we're going to be making our own bracket.
as a collective,
As us 3 collective.
first round exits. Wrap it up.
Jackrabbits celebrating there in Brookings, South Dakota.
Well, that's South Dakota State. Yep, they're first round.
See if they can pull off the massive upset, 15 seeds.
No, they're pretty good. We do see a couple 15 seeds every year.
22 and 12 is better.
Neither was St. Peter's when they beat UK. They didn't have a great record. Which they're also supposed to be in the tournament too, so. St. Peter's. You should be shaking in your boots.
It'll be a 16 seed.
It would be so. I would laugh so hard if they matched them up against Purdue. How much you would bet they do match them up against
Put them
Purdue?
against Kentucky.
No, Kentucky won't be a number 1 seed though.
We're going to be a 3.
Minix gives them a different look than most teams because they can go to him. He's not quite
Who's that?
St. Peter, it was St. Peter's last year.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. That was 2 years ago. Because UK lost to Kansas
Last
State
year was
last year was Princeton.
no, it was who was the one team that beat Purdue first round?
FDU.
Yeah, that's who it was.
Well, Princeton also beat Arizona as a 15 seed. They beat 2 Arizona.
You really just saw that.
It's such a weak part of the bracket though. I feel like
It's gonna be a.
I feel like UConn's just gonna
I
win.
feel like in all my brackets, I'm not gonna have anyone but Iowa State really coming out of there.
UConn?
No, out of that.
Out of that section, yeah.
You also have Iowa State coming in, so I
That-
would encourage you to
Yeah, bro. The East is kind of weak.
Such a weak division.
Hey, let's have a look at the South region. That bracket
Why
is
don't we
now
make this
ready
part of the
for
same
our
episode,
reaction.
this
The
and the
number
bracket,
one
'cause
seed
this is going
in the
fast.
South is Houston.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I love that Texas Tech.
That A&M and Houston game will be a good game. I think
Houston,
A&M
Nebraska.
I know. Really. I'm saying A&M's going to beat Nebraska.
That James Madison game will be good. 31-3.
Hey, watch out for
That might be the
Vermont.
most competent section.
Competitive. Yeah, that's competitive. Yeah.
Houston, Nebraska, A&M.
I mean, that's a toss
Not
up.
Houston.
No, he knows, but what he's saying is
Oh.
that they're gonna win, and
Good lord, dude.
he's slow.
Houston, Nebraska, A&M, Wisconsin, James Madison,
That's
and
really good.
Duke.
I like that.
Two teams that aren't really.
The two upsets I see, Vermont.
Here's what I think. If
A&M.
this next section is any good as the top part, this will be the best part. The South region will be easily the most competitive.
But it's just the style of play that Texas A&M.
Dang, bro, it's just going to be hard to beat Houston with their defense.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Texas A&M is really good at defense. The problem that they've had all year is they can't score. But during the SEC tournament, they managed to figure out a way to score against
Yeah,
good
because everybody
teams.
wants to shoot their best game versus Kentucky.
So watch out for Texas A&M. They're in the tournament. They're a really good team.
When's the first game?
Thursday. It's the first four.
And then Duke, having lost its last two games, now opening against Vermont, who makes it back in out of the American East.
John Becker's done just an incredible job with Vermont. You talk about they got the name of Tom Brady on the court. They're like a hyphen and then John Becker because all guys
region, I guess you say.
No, these are divisions.
What's this region?
Well, this is just the top half of the South. This is the top half of the South region.
I think 4 for Duke though is kind of low.
Bro, Duke's team is like,
Yeah,
they're
but they-
sneaky.
They lost. I can't really say anything because UNC lost to the same team. But
Jared McCain is.
they have some really stupid losses throughout the year.
Unexpected to compete at.
Well, they need to play with an edge. And Vermont is
Losing to NC State doesn't really help their case either.
TJ Long is their best
I thought they were going to be like a 3 seed, but
South now, and with Houston
I'm interested to see what UK is going to get because of Duke getting.
Oh, we are the 3 seed. Wow. Good lord.
Oh crap, Lord! You're playing. You might have to play the team that just beat my team, the one that's won 5 games in a row, and Texas Tech is playing really hot right now,
And you got Houston in it too.
and Marquette,
Good lord.
and Marquette, and Florida.
Oh, we're gonna have a good bracket.
That's easily the best region.
I would say Oakland winning that game though.
Marquette's the 2 seed.
If you'll lose to Oakland, that's just sad.
I don't think
They got their bid for the tournament though.
Yeah.
They did, man.
They didn't. I don't
Hey,
think they
watch
really-
out for NC State.
Florida,
They're pretty
I like
good.
Florida as a 7th seed though.
No, NC State. Everyone slept on them. They're pretty damn good.
I like Florida. Honestly, I think that if Florida wins that and plays Marquette, I think that Florida can beat them. I genuinely think that Florida can beat Marquette.
I don't know because they just lost their just lost their center. He broke his, he tore it, fractured his leg. I don't think they'll make it very far because of that. Now, if they still had him, maybe, but
See, that's what I was saying about like the conference tournaments for those people that are already gonna make it. It's kind of pointless because that dude just got injured and now that's gonna hurt them.
Texas Tech, NC State game, because I think that's going to be an absolute battle. I mean, Texas Tech, a team
that's a really good game. I honestly don't know who's going to win that one.
Texas Tech, NC State.
No.
I think he has a chance
That one
to be one of the biggest
you could flip a
games
coin.
coming into the tournament.
Because in one hand, NC State has won 5 games in a row. They played through their season. The only reason why they're in the tournament is because they won the ACC. But you have Texas Tech, who's playing really good basketball right now. They have wins over Iowa State this year. They beat Kansas once.
Guys that can get downhill and make plays. Is there a backcourt for you guys that can basically take over a game like, see what happened against Texas A&M.
Honestly, that region is going to be a toss-up for whoever comes out.
That South region is going to be big.
I had a weird feeling you guys were getting the same one as Houston was. They wanted to put the best offensive team with the best defensive team.
Continue to react to the bracket, show it to you when you come back on Sports Center. We've shown you a couple of the brackets, more coming here on SportsCenter on this Selection Sunday. So far, nothing terribly surprising, though it appears that UConn's region in the East, as the number one overall seed, is loaded. Not to say that Houston has an easy path as the one seed in the South, but
No, it's not.
as formidable, at least maybe it's recency bias from all of those tournament champions that are on the other side. Well, let's go back to the South now. This is where Houston is the number one seed, and ultimately the region.
I didn't even think Western.
Dallas.
It
Kentucky
worked.
and
Oh, I didn't know
Oakland.
that.
Talked a little bit about Oakland. What about Florida now? After making its way to the SEC championship game, losing to Auburn, they get the winner of the first 4 game between Boise State and Colorado.
Well, Florida, we were all high on the Gators, but they had the unfortunate happening today of Micah Hanlonton getting injured, and it looks like he's done for the year. So that takes out an outstanding offensive rebounder, a guy who's just about 7 feet tall, but they have dynamic guards. They have been playing extraordinarily well. They were a team that couldn't stop a nosebleed earlier in the season, but they've improved their defensive intensity.
This should have had it on the
Junior, an
freaking
outstanding guard
CBS.
that transferred into Florida from Iona, where he played for Rick Pitino, along with Dennis Jenkins, who's now at St. John's. That was an outstanding backcourt at Iona. Florida's still very, very good, but they're not quite as good without Hemlock.
And don't worry about Colorado now. Let's not sell out Colorado.
Hey, you are hoodwinked if you overlook Colorado.
And you are, because KJ Simpson can take over a game single-handedly.
Yeah, bro. I don't
I
know.
would hate to be one of those teams to do it.
I think Kentucky's the best team in that, but then again, they also have the lowest floor possible, so I don't know.
Could be a second round exit. Could be a Final Four.
They could win. They could win that part of the thing and possibly face Houston or Duke.
I just don't see them beating Houston.
Yeah, that'd be.
Like if they had to get matched, that's a terrible match.
Dillingham and Reed Shepherd would both have to have 30 that game.
Because in order for a team to beat UK, you got to score more points than them. And Houston's got an insanely good offense, but they also have the number one defense in the country.
They have a below average offense. All right, Midwest.
Pointed words for leaving him off that team.
That would have been home. Is that Mississippi? Oh, no,
McNeese, I could. Ooh, McNeese beating Gonzaga.
McNeese is why is Gonzaga a 5 seed?
Montana State and Grambling. Grambling making its first NCAA tournament appearance.
TCU will play who?
The winner of Grambling, between Montana State and Grambling.
Yeah, well, that'll be a win for Purdue.
Got a ways to go.
That's what they said last year too. And then here came Farley Dickinson.
Nobody knows of.
Well, they didn't have to go very far. They're playing their first 2 rounds in Indianapolis.
They got Darius
That's
Brown
cheap.
second, who could also really shoot it.
Gonzaga's going to Salt Lake City.
Kansas will be Stanford.
But see, keeping in mind, I did hear that Hunter Dickinson's supposed to be available for that game.
So
Stanford is pretty good,
this
though.
year, and he was totally wrong. They won 31. 31 game
What a
winner.
shot.
Shahade Wells is their best player. A guy who gets 3 steals a game. He's their leading scorer. McNeese makes it a chaotic game. They force a ton of turnovers, and they are going to be very difficult for
Well, look, you
Gonzaga to
think that
play
they can
against
beat
in that first round game.
Yeah, bro, the way Gonzaga's been playing, they could beat
I
them.
mean, they're a terrific team. He's a great coach. They play really hard.
And they got hot,
They come out here. I think if I'm Purdue, I think
And they got 3 losses.
Yeah.
Reminds me of FAU last year when they had like a really good regular season.
We have no idea how healthy Hunter Dickinson is. So when I look at that bracket, I see Purdue at the top. If they just get past basically the pressure of playing in the first 2 rounds, they have a chance to make a deep, deep run in the NCAA.
I think it'll,
Final Four.
if it goes the way it should, it'll be Kansas and Purdue. But I could also see Kansas and
I can see TCU. TCU's a tough team.
I can see Kansas and TCU.
I wonder if they're gonna put Grand Canyon.
They beat Iowa State earlier in the year. They beat Houston once. They almost beat Kansas had they not gotten robbed. They beat BYU, and they were pretty good this year.
Those offers usually pay off pretty good.
In my what? I just love you, that's all. Okay. Appreciate it. Let's look at the bottom of the Midwest now. And the Tennessee Volunteers regular season.
St. Peter's in Tennessee.
Of the SEC
Virginia and Colorado State.
of St. Peter's.
So St. Peter's is in fact inside the Purdue section.
See, the other part, there's a future, a potential.
So you're saying there's a chance.
SEC, future SEC.
How rich are they?
Oregon could beat
That's
South
I do
Carolina.
like that Oregon, South Carolina.
Oregon could beat South Carolina.
Hey, remember last time St. Peter's was number 15?
10 seed on the line in first four matches.
I mean, it's what, the Elite Eight?
Tennessee, you should be scared.
He also was at
How funny would that be if they beat UK
Dude,
and
St.
Tennessee?
Peter's could beat Tennessee. All they got to do is stop Dalton Connect because nobody else can score on that team as well as he can.
That Creighton matchup looks pretty unfair because Creighton's going to blow the doors off Akron. Texas UVA, that's weird to see UVA as a 10 seed.
Enrique Freeman, I mean, it's what? He led
Yeah,
the
I don't see
nation
that
in
being
rebounding. He's
great.
an outstanding offensive rebounder. And it's what, 3 years now? that he's
Creighton was my dark
double-double.
horse to go to the
He's a
Final
big
Four,
player.
so
6-6, absolutely relentless.
Yeah, Creighton's not letting it in.
because Creighton's one of the only teams this year that beat UConn and beat them convincingly.
Into the NCAA tournament.
And Bruce, I just wouldn't put Tennessee versus Texas. I mean, look, UVA makes free throws. I think they win a lot more games. I mean, their style.
Big if.
I mean, yeah, well,
That's
what
weird
I'm
to
saying,
see
but,
Oregon in there.
Sometimes you catch lightning in a bottle. And I think their style of play throws a
Because
lot
they
of
would not
teams
have made
off.
the tournament had it
Actually,
not been
this
for.
Texas team athletically, length, backcourt, if they were to win and had a chance to play Tennessee, they match up really well with Tennessee because Dylan Mitchell has gone down the
You'll think would be coming out of this.
And Oregon
teams.
is a tough matchup
Creighton,
for
I
South
think
Carolina
Texas.
because
I think Creighton will be,
I like Creighton.
be a definite one.
I like Texas.
I like Creighton and Oregon.
So he wasn't
If
playing
Tennessee
at
plays the
Circuit
way
in November,
they
but
can,
with
we know we
him
can,
back,
I think it'll end up being
is
Creighton and
legit,
Tennessee.
a much better team.
I think
Obviously,
or Texas is a dark horse.
Now, to be fair, I make all jokes aside, St. Peter's is a completely different team now. They don't have the same head coach. None of the players are still on that team that from 2 years ago. They all transferred. So I'm pretty sure Tennessee will win that game. But they're in a
Tennessee and
chance.
South Carolina getting a 6th seed after being picked to finish dead last.
I don't think Texas will win. I think UVA will
Just getting there is
get it
great.
done against Colorado State and play them. I think UVA will
We've
take
got
care of that.
one more region to show you. It'll be the West. When we get back, we'll do that and take you commercial free all the way to the top of the hour with our bracket reaction and analysis here on SportsCenter.
Instead,
One more bracket to show you here on SportsCenter. We're going to take you all the way to bracketology, which will start at the top of the hour. So let's look at the West. And the number 1 seed in the West, regular season
Oh, wow.
Michigan State,
from the
nice seed, baby.
ACC, North Carolina.
let's
which
go,
will
baby. My team's number 1.
winner
Hey.
of the Howard Wagner
That's a good.
first
That's a good.
Braden,
That's a good section.
Braden, North Carolina's not scared of MSU.
I don't. Okay, call me crazy, but I feel like Charleston could beat Alabama.
Holy crap, we have an easy cakewalk to the Final Four, bro. St. Mary's, Grand Canyon, Alabama, who can't play defense.
You gotta watch out for Mississippi State, though.
They play the way they're capable of playing.
Trust me.
I don't see
Well,
a
it's
team
the
that
head-to-head
has the
MSU.
style to play with Alabama. The style to play a little bit with St. Mary's, but all those teams fit the DNA of a team that North Carolina should be able to have success
Overrated
with.
team.
Jim Davis, the ACC.
Yeah, Armando
player of
Bacot
the year.
didn't have
Armando
anything.
Bacot were
He's
outstanding
back.
in the ACC tournament. Came up short in the championship game against NC State.
Yeah, Bacon
So I
and
assume
Davis,
that would make
90,
Arizona the 2 or 3 seed.
132
Yeah, 2
points
seed.
in the last 2 games.
Which means Caleb Love is going to be playing his former teammate, RJ Davis.
Physical.
And
I think they
team.
play one of the best teams in the country. They don't take
Yeah,
it
but
for
RJ
granted.
and
They
Caleb
could
Love
wind
are
up
like one of
playing
your best
Wagner
friends. Still
if
are.
they get past Howard in the first round. And Wagner has Melvin Campbell.
That's assuming both of them make
who's
it to the
best
Final
player
Four, the
Wagner's
Elite
had
Eight, where they
since
play each other.
Bob Mahala.
When was Bob Mahala doing work for the Seahawks?
1983, they upset Duke at Cameron Indoor Stadium.
Wow. Were you involved in that extravaganza?
Sadly, I was.
North Carolina. Keep that rock on after that game. North Carolina gets the blue seed. That's the 18th time the Tar Heels have been a 1 seed. That is
I think the upset in
Did they
this
just
part.
say 80th?
Bro, I think Grand Canyon could beat
Charleston Cougars.
St. Mary's.
And this Charleston
I don't know if
team
St. Mary's is
this year,
that
Wayne
good.
Smith is
It's
back from
a
last
class.
year that went to the NCAA Tournament under Pat Kelsey, and they've got a point guard
Hey,
from
remember
Ireland.
just saying, the last time UNC was the #1 seed, we won the national championship.
7.8 flat, but he's really good and a great leader. I think Pat Kelsey really
This
loves
is Charleston's
this team.
second year in a row, I think, making the
will be
tournament.
spread wide open.
I think last year they just ran into a really good San Diego State team last year.
The pace of this game will be
But
coming
playing against a team that plays no defense,
Here as a
got a
5 seed.
chance.
They had a stretch in the season. Started slowly this year, went 3-5. They won like 16 in a row, one of the longer winning streaks.
Well,
I feel like that's a
they
very
lost
poor
lot of
matchup for
confidence from last
Alabama.
year's team, especially with Logan
Because if
Johnson
they can't
leading,
score,
but St. Mary's
they're in
has
trouble.
not only put it together, they are a really good basketball team. And Alex Dukas can shoot it from
Didn't they
the
beat
perimeter.
Gonzaga?
He's big and
Twice,
tough.
twice.
This is a really
And in
physical
the
St. Mary's
champion
team.
in
You
the
start
tournament,
thinking
too.
about them being, well, they're
No, they beat them
good
twice
guys,
throughout the year in the
spread floor and
championship
shoot
in
it.
the
They're a
one of the
motorcycle gang
middle of the
from
regular
Morocco,
season, but
California. They are
Gonzaga
tough,
beat them at the
man.
end of the regular
And
season.
Aiden Mahaney, the Henry Steele of college basketball. And for you kids who don't know who
Show us
Henry
the last
Steele
section.
was, rent the movie or whatever, go on Netflix and watch One on One. Robbie Benson played Henry Steele all the way up with a red hot poker.
And by the way, Mahaney is that type of player, though, JB. Just like you said, I mean, that WCC championship game against Gonzaga, after Gonzaga had won 8 in a row and beat them in Moraga, they responded in every facet of the game. They can make the game extremely physical.
Marshall Owens to me is the guy that plays with the toughness. I mean, he plays just like his dad did. I mean, you talk about downhill driver, physical plays to contact. When he all of a sudden he
Find
went
out who
from a
gets left out.
6-man the most valuable player in the West Coast Conference.
But Grand Canyon's good. They won 29 games this year. Tyron Grant Foster is their best player, averages about 20 points per game.
St. Mary's
He was
doesn't
at
have to
Kansas,
travel
got
that far.
transferred to DePaul and had a medical
Yeah,
issue,
right-
so he basically
right near
stopped
where they're
playing.
at.
And
Next
then
door.
comes
Well,
back,
if
and
Gonzaga was the
2
next
years
section, they
See,
would-
North Carolina
later.
North Carolina won't
Also
have to
served
either
Grand
because they're
Canyon
playing in
University.
Charlotte.
Bryce Drew, the head coach there. The brother of Scott Drew, the head coach of Baylor. Homer, the great Homer Drew from Valparaiso.
I think
hit
each
that
number
great
1
shot
seed
against
gets
Miss,
placed
Ole Miss,
closer to where their home
back in
town
the day,
is.
that play called Pacer.
Because Purdue's in Indy,
I was gonna
I
say,
think
for
UConn's near
Wolves,
New York.
all those guys that
So that makes
been
sense.
threats
UConn, yes.
the last couple of
Houston's, I
tournament
think,
No.
appearances,
Texas.
third time
UConn's in
they've
Connecticut,
gotten
dummy.
into
Yes, but it's close to New York.
But they did have a big loss.
Ooh, Clemson.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah, Arizona's 2 seed. Long Beach State.
We're quite familiar with them for the last.
What's your
Go.
obsession with them?
I don't know, dude.
Because he has a weird betting fetish that comes with that team.
They won.
Why don't you bet them to beat Arizona?
Won it last night. They ended the season.
Just don't.
It's tempting.
You see the
He's
celebration
tempted.
from the Big West Tournament
Okay,
champions.
calm.
They are just
Honestly,
the
I feel like they
third team
could
in the
beat
last 40
Arizona.
years to lose.
Arizona's not the same team they were last year. They're not going to let them. They're not going to lose to a 15 seed 2 years in a row.
And make the NCAA
They've
tournament.
got to win against
Dayton and
Michigan.
Nevada.
They got to win against USC. They got
Baylor will
terrific guard play.
destroy the
They can beat
brakes
the
off
bounce.
the
They go
goal.
ISO ball. They will play
We'll
this
see
game
it's
at a
left
high
out.
pace and attack. I can guarantee that.
Yeah.
They've got a Boubacar Traore who had 25 rebounds in a game last year and had a triple-double this year, almost another one in the Big West.
So it looks like St. John's didn't make it. Indiana State didn't make it.
We saw them win at North Carolina.
Who else didn't make it? That
PJ
was on
Hall, I
the
think, is one
bubble.
of the top players in the ACC, also in the country. I think a lot will come down to Chase Hunter.
Yeah, this Clemson could make a run.
Let me look at
the
Bright
transfer
Quality.
from Syracuse,
No, just
knocking
wait,
out
just
shot from
wait.
the outside, but they're also another physical team.
I'll tell you that New Mexico team is really good.
Very good.
You talk about a team
That guy's good.
I remember when Louisville got left out like
You got
barely.
Jalen House, you got
Yeah.
Ashburn, you got
It was
Coppin,
2021.
you got physical front court,
Yeah.
Noah
That guy's
Johnson.
To be
good.
fair, Brian, we were
New
13 and
Mexico
7.
team can score,
We were not
they can
great.
play, they can
Oklahoma.
play in transition, and they
A&M
are
let
fearless.
Colorado.
Pittsburgh, Providence, Kansas State,
Virginia.
South Florida, Virginia, man, they were the playing
outstanding
teams.
defender. New Mexico.
Seton Hall didn't
I
make it.
want
Yeah.
to love Clemson.
Kansas State.
And every time I
Kansas
start
State
to
didn't
love
make it.
Clemson, they don't let it
South
back.
Florida didn't make it.
Providence- I'm surprised Pittsburgh didn't make it.
Nevada probably because they won.
If they had beaten North Carolina, they probably would have.
Use
But
their way in terms of making shots.
They just didn't bring the fire in the ACC tournament that
I just don't see how Nevada did enough to prove that they belong.
They
But
probably won their thing.
no, they didn't. It was New
That's
Mexico
7-10
State.
right there, Nevada Dayton.
Which is even funnier because New Mexico State won their tournament and you get somehow lower than Nevada, who finished.
Steve Alford's got a very talented team. That'll be an interesting game. Obviously, you talk about Deron Holmes for Dayton, but they're playing without basically the point guard that they wanted to start the season with, Malachi Smith.
This will be an interesting year.
And they've got Trey Coleman, who's one of the best defenders.
Especially with Purdue and being on the same side as St. Peter's to see if that matchup ends up happening.
It's not the first time Steve Alford's taken Nevada to the tournament. He's one of
I mean, who was it, the East region? That's probably the most competent region in our opinions. I mean, I think everybody, whatever the second region was, that was probably the most competent one.
Had the tournament been played in 2020, not only would he have taken them, they would have been a 1 seed, and they might have won the whole thing.
Could have won the whole thing.
He's talking about Dayton.
Absolutely. But
when they had Obi
one second, going back to Steve Alford, the head coach of Nevada, he's the only coach in the field that has his own hotel.
He does? What?
The Steve Alford Inn in Newcastle,
How come
Indiana.
Nevada has 2 more wins than Dayton, but they have the same
I'm sure they'll
losses?
put us there.
Because they won 2 more games in their conference tournament. They lost the first round.
I'm sure he can. Steve Alford can do anything. That hair never moves, just like yours.
Baylor and Colgate didn't touch on that one. A 3-14 matchup.
Yeah, these are the teams that missed out.
The last 4 in, you've seen the matchups. Boise State.
And I feel bad for Indiana State because if it weren't for NC State or Oregon getting bids by winning their tournaments, probably would have had 2 of those teams right there get
Same with
in.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, because they were like really good this year.
They were like right at the edge too.
I know you can again
They were the last team out.
Bias and some
first
eyes
team.
actually on them bias.
First
They
one.
looked like a tournament team to me over the course of the season,
wrap it up,
particularly in the
Hold
ACC
on.
tournament.
In a second,
Indiana
we'll watch
State
the rest of them.
disappointed. They were left out and Seth, I know nothing against.
Okay, as you all saw our reactions to the bracket, we're going to fill out a bracket ourselves or as a group, collectively. And obviously there's only 3 of us, so it'll be kind of be easier than if there was 2 of us or 4 of us because 2 of us
It's
are
not
out.
just one and one
Yeah.
opinionated.
But Braden's going to be controlling all the picks, and we're going to be giving our inputs through our cam. Braden's over there. So, yeah, go ahead and take it over, Braden.
Yeah, so up on the screen is the bracket. We'll be picking through all of them. And we're going to try to make it to where it's a consensus where all 3 of us have to agree. Now, if one of us does disagree, we'll have to try to get the other person to agree. So we're not going to know how long this is going to go. But I'm here, Tyler and them are there, and then down here is where the...
Okay, so I'm going to move it down a little bit. A little bit down. That's up. A little bit. All right, that's good.
Well, it's gonna move down.
Yeah, okay.
So we're gonna start with the round of 64. We're gonna, instead of doing each section, we're just gonna do round of 64, round of 32, Sweet 16, and then Final Four, or it's Elite 8, Final Four, and then championship game and our champion. That was kind of cute. Okay, first game. I don't think there's any surprise there as far as UConn over Stetson.
No question.
Yeah, UConn. Just go ahead and go UConn.
Now this is where the picks will get interesting, just because we have FAU and Northwestern, an 8 and 9 matchup. That's where it can get difficult. In my opinion, I think that FAU will win it, just because I don't think Northwestern is as strong of a team. But Northwestern can beat them out just because FAU doesn't play as hard of a conference.
I'm gonna say this to you because if you look at whose best win is what, FAU beat Arizona earlier in the season and Northwestern beat Purdue once and almost beat them twice. I feel like Northwestern with Boo Buie, I think that's how you say his name correctly. He's 5th-year senior. They're more of an experienced team. I know that FAU made the Final Four last year, but they are not the same team. Even though they still have their star player, they have underperformed this year and they lost to Temple in the semifinals, who had a losing record in the conference.
So are we all good with Northwestern?
I think
I think we'll. Even though FAU did have the experience from last year, I think Northwestern has a chance to make an 8-9 upset.
All right. Next up is San Diego State and UAB. I know when we had the bracket going through, obviously we talked about this.
Do you just want to go ahead and zoom in on the picks that we're doing right now?
Yeah, I can.
And then we can. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's perfect.
So I honestly, I know like I said, we talked about it. I think that UAB can definitely.
Hold on. we could split us up. You know what I'm saying? Or put
It's
us-
fine.
put us
It's
on.
fine. It's fine.
I definitely think that UAB could beat San Diego State. San Diego State is a good defensive team, but I don't think they're a good offensive team. UAB, they're hot right now, and that's what matters in March is what teams are hot.
Yeah, which
And-
teams can peak the highest?
And San Diego State lost their championship
Yeah,
final.
and this is UAB's first time in the AAC. And obviously they won it with what they were a 4 seed, right, in the tournament. So, I mean, this is as much of a toss up as an 8 and 9 is as far as the 5 and 12.
My pick's UAB. I think we watched them earlier before we did this.
It was on at work.
Yeah, and they were dominant. I just think the way San Diego State has struggled, I just don't. Their defense, if they win that game, it'll be on their defense. It won't be on.
In my opinion, I think it's just like the FAU Northwestern, where FAU, just like last year, San Diego State, they're still a solid team. This could go either way, but I personally think it's UAB.
I mean, I know you are going UAB, but 5 seeds do speak for themselves sometimes.
Actually, I saw something the other day where it's like out of the last 10 tournaments, the most upsetted matchup was a 12-5 matchup.
Yeah, I mean San Diego State. I mean, UAB has been there 17 times, I think, something like that.
Something like that.
And
They were in it last year too, but they ran into I think Miami.
San Diego State. We really haven't seen them in the past probably decade go very far.
Hey, they went to the championship game last year.
What?
San Diego State.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay, well then I'm tripping.
But they did return a lot of players.
Yeah. Did they return a lot of players?
No.
Yeah, so I think that'll be what
Separates
last year's team from this year's team. So I say we just go with UAB because San Diego State probably won't go far, and I think that's where their ride ends.
Now the thing is, I even though we did pick UAB, like I said, this is a toss up. I feel like it could go either way. I feel like San Diego State could easily win this game. I feel like it's going to be a back and forth, and I think
That'll 100% be a game to watch.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the games I will watch when it comes time to play. Next game is a 4-13 between Purdue and Yale. Yale is.
You mean Auburn?
Well, no, I'm talking about Yale. Yale is their Ivy League. Here's the thing. I know that Princeton made it far last year.
Princeton was really good.
Princeton
That was once in a
good team. I did have a bet on them this year. And
Yale won on a buzzer beater.
Yeah, and so I watched that game, and I know Yale did win. They won their matchup, but if you look at the team they played Brown, who's 13-7 overall.
Terrible. And they won on a buzzer beater.
And they won on a buzzer beater.
So I don't think they're going to go very
If
far.
you look at Auburn's resume as far as how they did throughout the season, I mean, I really can't put.
Yeah,
They also won the SEC tournament.
They
too.
had great wins. Obviously they won the SEC tournament.
SEC
They're in the SEC. I mean, probably the hardest conference this year, if not the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And Auburn with Bruce Pearl is going to be a hard team to beat. So yeah, let's just go with Auburn and let's ride it out with them.
All right, now this one's interesting because BYU didn't make a lot of noise in the normal season. They did play good in their conference, so no disrespect to them. But Duquesne was hot, and they won their tournament.
I say we ride with the hot team, go with the 11 seed.
I don't know about that, mainly because BYU has played really good this year, being in the Big 12 for the first year. They beat Kansas and Kansas. They gave Kansas their only home loss this year. They gave Houston, and both times they played Houston, a good run for their money, and I think they beat Iowa State once. They've beaten a decent amount of ranked teams. I just don't see how BYU loses that matchup.
Well, I know they beat Kansas, but Kansas has been up and down this season with questionable wins and losses.
I could see Dunkey's.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do win, but
Duquesne.
So my pick is Duquesne.
All right.
I'm upset with that. All right, Illinois Morehead State.
I think it's a straight shot of Illinois.
Yeah.
Terrence Shannon Jr.'s a dog.
Morehead State. I will say this. They're a really good team. I think they only have a handful of losses.
I wouldn't be shocked if they beat him.
I wouldn't either, but I definitely think that Illinois is the better team. Now, obviously, in March, that's not what matters. But I definitely think that Illinois is the better team here, and I think they can get hotter quicker than Morehead State can. Morehead State won their tournament. I think they were one of the first few people to win their tournament. So I mean, I pick Illinois.
Yeah, I think it's a 3-0 Illinois.
So this is the other hard matchup, a 7 and a 10.
Not for me.
Washington State is a very solid team, and so is Drake. So I'm a toss up.
I'm at Drake because
Drake. Yeah, I'm at Drake too.
Yeah.
I see that being an upset.
Who did they beat?
Indiana State in the final. Or they didn't beat Indiana State in the final. They beat Indiana State in the semifinal.
They did win their tournament.
They did win their tournament, and they beat all the teams they ran through convincingly. I think they're playing better basketball right now than Washington State since they just came off a loss to Colorado.
Now I feel like this one's really.
This wasn't.
This
isn't.
They just beat the doors off Houston. It wasn't even close.
Yeah. This one,
Come on.
There's really no much thought here.
UNC has probably one of the best resumes in the current program right now.
Now this one is where I'm gonna have to try to have not a lot of bias because obviously.
And I'm gonna be real. I think Mississippi State wins this game because they're playing better basketball. They beat Tennessee. They didn't just beat Tennessee. They blew out Tennessee, and Tennessee's a pretty damn good team. I think Michigan State hasn't really had a season-defining win other than that win against Illinois. They really haven't beaten anyone good.
If you ask me, now this is from a person who's watched enough Izzo games. Izzo in March is a different breed.
I understand that, but Mississippi State, their offense is lethal, and if they get hot, they're gonna blow you out.
Mississippi is one of those teams in the SEC where they had nothing to lose. They had nothing to lose this season. They beat Tennessee. They whooped the crap out of
Michigan State kind of limped into the tournament, and I feel like the only reason they got in was because of the fact that they have a streak of like 28 straight tournaments where they've made it, and so they didn't, like I said, they didn't really have a season defined. They had one quad one win against Illinois, and that was it. They didn't really make noise and they underperformed this year because they started at ranked 4 in the country and ended with a very crappy resume.
I don't think they have a good enough resume to overpower our minds of.
Versus Mississippi State beat Tennessee twice this year. They've played better competition
now,
and won.
Here's another interesting one. Grand Canyon. They definitely put themselves on the map this year. With I think 3 or 4 losses. They went undefeated at home.
They also got their first ranked win of their their entire program.
Yeah. St. Mary's though they won their tournament. I think it was really no surprise that they were, just because out of the WCC they were really the only team that's strong. Gonzaga. Normally on another year in the past few years, I would say Gonzaga is a better team in that conference, but
not this year.
Not this year.
I'm going to pick St. Mary's just because I don't think Grand Canyon has the talent level to match St. Mary's.
I wouldn't be surprised if Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
I really don't think that's one of those matchups where I don't think Grand Canyon stands a chance, to be honest.
So this matchup, I know we talked about when it came out, when we saw it. Obviously, last year Charleston made the tournament. They won. I think they won 1 game or maybe 2.
No, they ran into San Diego State and lost.
And then they ran into San Diego State, who was their matchup, and they lost. Charleston's a very, very offensively heavy team. That's how they win their games. Alabama, on the other hand, is this exact same thing, except
their defense is non-existent.
Charleston's defense is way better than Alabama's defense, which is personally why I think Charleston can beat Alabama.
I think Charleston will win that game, mainly because it's not Alabama. It's no shade to Alabama. I just don't think their defense is. They gave up like so many points to UK and to all these other teams. The UK and Alabama had the worst defenses I'd ever. That's why they both scored like almost 100
This
points.
is going to be a shootout game.
Yeah, and if Charleston, I feel like Charleston has better defense than Alabama does. Alabama has the offense, but if they can't make any shots, they're not going to win.
I'm with Charleston, but you can't let Alabama go because great offense will always beat great defense.
Yeah. Alabama can just like the St. Mary's and Grand Canyon. I think this could go either way.
No, I think it's Clemson.
I think that Alabama can.
Oh, I thought you were talking about.
No, I think that Alabama could definitely win this game. The only way that Alabama will win this game, in my opinion, is if their defense steps up.
They do have a great young coach
that
came in, I think, a couple years ago.
Alabama's problem is just like Kentucky's problem in this tournament, is as long as their defense can step up and they can find out what they need to fix on their defense, I mean, that'll be a hard team to beat. But given their track record this season, they've had the entire season to fix it, and they haven't, and now it puts them at a 4 seed instead of something higher. So this one I actually do like a lot is the Clemson and New Mexico. Obviously, as a Louisville fan as well, I've watched enough ACC games to know that Clemson is a very strong team. They did get ranked in the middle of the season and went a little bit up and then fell off, and then they continued hot at the end of the season, not in the ACC tournament, but at the end of the season they were really, really good. New Mexico, on the other hand, doesn't have that many losses. They're a really strong team. They haven't played much competition though. That's the only part for me that really sells Clemson over New Mexico, is just based off the
quality of wins.
Yeah,
Clemson beat UNC earlier this year. They gave Duke a run for their money a couple
Should've
times.
won.
Yeah, there
Should've won,
was
but refs were
there
biased
was
in that
a
game.
stretch of Clemson where they I think they'd won
They
like
were ranked.
5 out of
They
their
were
last.
ranked too.
I think it was when they were ranked. They won like 5 out of the last 6 games, and the game they did lose, they got blown out. But sometimes it does happen to good teams.
I think that the reason why Clemson will win is just because of the conferences each team plays in.
so
Mountain West isn't as good as the ACC is.
That's what really sets those two teams apart. They're both good teams. New Mexico definitely has a resume, and obviously that's why they're in the tournament, to be that good of a team to make it. But I don't think they've played enough good competition to win. If they do match up against someone like Clemson, who's played competition, they know competition, beat one of the teams that is a number 1 overall seed in the tournament this year, I feel like it's a no-brainer to go with Clemson.
We'll go with Clemson.
Colgate, they somehow always squeak their way into the tournament as a 14 or a 15 seed. They played Arkansas, or they were a 15 seed a few years ago against Arkansas. Last year they made the tournament as well. I'm not sure who they played. But
Wisconsin, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like Baylor's
a better team.
coming into the next few rounds, Baylor might be a question, but I feel like in round 1, round 64, I feel like
Baylor. The reason Baylor wins this game is because of their coach. Their coach is an amazing coach
Plus,
when it comes to down the stretch.
Future Louisville coach right there.
But here's what I will say. Baylor did win the championship, 2-3 years ago?
3 years ago.
3 years ago, yeah.
They still have some of the pieces on their team that were freshmen and sophomores.
They all left.
Freshmen and sophomores.
They have Adam Flanagan.
That went up and stayed with the team.
I don't know.
So they do have that tournament experience. They do have that championship experience. The coach has the championship experience. He even turned the program around from the year prior to the next year winning a championship. So I feel like
I think it's straight. Yeah, Baylor.
Next is another 7-10 matchup. Dayton and Nevada. This is also what I'm going to say. Just as the 6-11 with Clemson and New Mexico State, it comes down to experience as far as conference. I know Nevada a few years back did have a good team, but obviously as years go on, they lose players, they lose experience. The coaches kind of sometimes degrade it, and in some instances they don't. But I feel like Dayton's the stronger team. They have played. I know they did lose to George Mason in the season. Had a bet on them. They lost, and that's all my parlay. But I feel like Dayton's really the stronger team.
I think Dayton
here.
will win, yeah.
I think it's another 3-0.
Now this next matchup, I have a very unpopular opinion.
I will say this, and this is kind of funny, and Austin knows this too. Tyler has a strange addiction to Long Beach State.
3-0 when betting with Long Beach State.
I thought you lost a bet with them.
Nope. 3-0 with them.
So Arizona, obviously they deserve to be a 2 seed. There's no question about it. There's some margin where you could argue that they could be a 1 seed, but I think they deserve to be a 2 seed.
Not losing to Oregon.
But I think they deserve to be a 2 seed after the end of the season track record. If they won the championship in the Pac-12, they could have been a 1 seed, but they didn't. Long Beach State this is their first time in the tournament since 2021.
My pick's Long Beach State.
I feel like because
if you look at the last 2 years, 115 seed has always won, and if there's out of all of the 2 seeds,
I feel like this is the.
I feel like this is the worst matchup.
This is the one team that cannot.
Because Arizona lost to Princeton last year, and no one saw that coming.
No.
The year before, St. Peter's. It's usually that bottom part of that bracket is where.
So we're rolling with Tyler's Long Beach State.
4-0, baby.
All right, so that completes that region. Now we're moving on to this next top one. I know if you watched our previous episodes, you would know how we talked about Houston. Obviously, it's a 16-1 matchup, but that doesn't go to the fact that Houston has an outstanding defense, and that's going to be really hard to beat.
I think they're going to be the team to beat in the tournament.
It's
and
so unfair.
I think they should have been the overall 1 seed. Their offense is
getting blasted by Iowa State's not pretty though. They would have had they won their.
Here's what I will have to say. In previous years, where the past two only 2 16 seeds to be the 1 seed, UMBC beat Virginia because they were missing half their starting lineup. That's why they beat them.
And Purdue's just Purdue.
And Purdue's just Purdue. And also, if you look at Purdue's roster that year, the only good defensive player they had besides Zach Edey was Jaden Ivey. And now
that was 2 years ago.
But now he's not even on the
when
team.
they lost to St. Peter's.
So, without a doubt, I feel like
This is a no-brainer.
Yeah, I feel like in another universe, 16 seeds can beat 1 seed, but not this time.
If you played that matchup like 100 times, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, out of 100 times of playing, Longwood might win 1.
I think they would probably win at least 10.
No, I think
I think it's a 90 to 10.
I'd say maybe 1. Now I know Tyler, as a UK fan, you've watched SEC matchups with Texas A&M. I know they beat Kentucky this year, and they beat them in the SEC tournament. So they do have 2 wins over talented teams like Kentucky. Nebraska, they were ranked at one point, weren't they?
I think not very high though.
No, they weren't.
They are. I will say this: Nebraska is a sneaky team. With that being said, I don't think when it comes to tournament if you think about conferences in basketball, SEC is arguably better than the Big Ten as far as overall conference. I'm not not saying with the teams. There's a lot better teams.
No, I agree with you. I thought you said Big 12 for a second. I was like, I disagree with that.
The Big Ten has better teams, but the SEC...
Not really. Purdue's the only really team.
The SEC has better competition.
The people at the top, but the SEC is more competitive, so it's kind of cutthroat. So that's why you find a bunch of the SEC teams with over 10 losses or right around 10 losses, is because the SEC is arguably the most competitive conference in college basketball. Right behind that's the ACC. That's why you see a lot of teams in the ACC with a bunch of like mid records, because it's always a matchup between that. So in my opinion, I got Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Especially with their coach. I know you
watching A&M is like a work of art. Buzz Williams is probably, in my opinion,
one of the greatest coaches.
Top 5 coach in college basketball, especially when it comes to down the stretch, because Buzz Williams prepares his guys like I've never seen any other team be prepared. Buzz Williams is the guy that you want.
He's the kind of coach you want.
He's the coach. He's a player coach. And there's like him and Bruce Pearl are the 2 coaches that I see, no matter what, always on the floor, guiding their players, coaching them, even when it's the subs. Like, I don't know if you all watched earlier today, but Bruce Pearl put his scrubs in, and he was still coaching them. And I think that's one of the best things for a coach you can do with your players, no matter who's on the court at what time. So I think this is a straight A&M game for me. This is a game for Buzz Williams to show what he can do. Now they are going to run into Houston, which will be a massive problem. Buzz Williams will have them prepared, but I don't know how much of a preparation they will be prepared.
That's in my opinion what separates a good team from a better team.
Is a coach.
Especially in March, is the coach. Hence why St. Peter's or FDU beat Purdue last year, because
just outcoached him.
Because the coach outcoached him. And obviously, Austin, you and I, as a Louisville fan, that's what set us back this year and the previous year is the coach. I think to have a talented team is one thing, but to have a better coach is the thing that will set you apart from a good team and a better team.
Yeah.
So I think in my opinion, I think that A&M sweeps this.
Yeah, I agree.
Now this one is another good one. I know I said that about a lot of them, but I do really like this. Wisconsin they were ranked at one point this season. They are a very talented team, but James Madison, they won their tournament. 2, they only had like 3 or 4 wins.
Did Illinois win the Big Ten? I don't know if they did.
Big Ten? No, I thought it was Iowa State.
No, it was between Wisconsin or I don't know.
It was Wisconsin. I think it was Wisconsin and Illinois.
I think Wisconsin won then.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was Wisconsin.
Check real quick.
Which is why I think they got ranked so high in the tournament.
Crap. What's today's date?
The 17th.
Illinois won 93-87.
93 days. So
yeah.
Which, if you look at the roster of Illinois, especially with the 3 seed, I know we talked about them not too long ago in their matchup against Morehead State. But if you look at Wisconsin's team and how they matched up against that very talented Illinois team, they could be a strong team. But
I think Wisconsin wins this though.
Yeah, I know James Madison has had their fair share of great wins and good wins, but I think Wisconsin having that chip on their shoulder after losing the Big Ten?
This is when it comes down.
Yeah, Big Ten tournament.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna have a chip on their shoulder going into this tournament, saying, "Hey, we need to get this first win."
We need to get the fire rolling, which is in my opinion, in March, it's not the better team, it's the hottest team.
Yep.
And I think that Wisconsin can get hot, and they can. And this next matchup, if they get hot at the right time, they could beat Duke. But more about that later.
I think this is a
one's
straight
really
easy one. Duke, yeah.
Duke,
No brainer.
Filipowski.
Kind of surprised they fell down to a 4.
Yeah.
But
they definitely deserve to be a 3 seed. But a 4 seed is, I think, a comfortable position for them.
Yeah.
I think that's where they want to be. I think that's where they could be. And that
as far as the seeding wise, when being this caliber of a team, the best position is to be a 3 through a 5 because you don't have that pressure that a 1 and a 2 seed do.
Yeah.
So
you're kind of like you're good, but you're not like top tier, so you don't have.
And sometimes 1 seeds aren't 1 seeds. So I think this is a perfect situation for Duke.
Yeah. Last year, none of the number 1 seeds made the Final Four.
And this is also what I will say. If you look at Duke's roster and how they performed this season, yes, they had bad losses against teams that are worse than them, but are still in the tournament this year. But their roster is not a 4 seed. Their roster deserves to be a 2 seed easily. But based off their performance, they definitely deserve to be the 4 seed. But
I like Duke as a 4 seed, even though I'm a Kentucky fan, and I hate Duke.
Honestly, if you can't count Duke out.
Yeah.
Obviously, they don't have Coach K, but you can never really count Duke out.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one.
My pick's NC State, and the reason why I say that is because in my opinion, I know that UConn has a winning streak, and I know that there are some other teams that have winning streaks, but NC State just rattled off 5. They just rattled off 5 wins in 5 days.
DJ Horn went off.
They were fighting for their season. They want to keep fighting for their season. They are the hottest. They knocked off Duke and North Carolina within the span of 3 days.
You can't beat a.
And they beat Virginia. They beat some really good ACC teams on their way to winning the ACC. And I think that they're the hottest team right now.
No disrespect to Texas Tech, but the Big 12 I don't think is as good of a competition as the ACC. As good. Yeah. I'm not saying they're not good. I feel like in order, if you ask me, as far as competitive of divisions, I think it's SEC, ACC, Big 12.
I think the
Big
10.
I think Big 10 would be number 2. Kansas, Iowa State, Texas Tech.
I'm not saying they don't have good teams. I'm saying that it's competitive.
They have better competition though.
But I'm just saying it's competitive.
There's a difference between competition and being competitive.
Yeah, so
I agree with you all with NC State.
I think NC State wins that outright.
You can't beat a team that has the heart to.
And like I said with the last match,
to be like, hey, bring it.
It's not about the best team; it's about the hottest team right now. If you ask me, out of this entire tournament, I think NC State's the hottest team right now. That's just me because they rattled off
5
Duke,
wins,
UNC, and Virginia in their way to win
in 3 days.
ACC tournament. Plus, if you think about it, even if they didn't win that championship against North Carolina last night, they wouldn't even made the tournament. But they are the hottest team right now in this entire bracket, and I think that
they've shown.
I think that they can go far. I'm not saying that they'll beat Kentucky, but if they do beat Kentucky, they can go far.
I have something about that. We'll get to that.
This one, no-brainer. Tyler, I know it's a no-brainer for you as well.
Yeah, I do. Like I said, Kentucky does have the highest ceiling, but also the lowest ceiling, and lowest floor. But with this, you can never forget the past. We did lose to St. Peter's. They did go to the Elite Eight, but that was a good team. Yeah. Oakland, I don't think really has ever had a really good resume in March.
They did win their tournament, though.
They did win their tournament.
And that's no disrespect.
Yeah. They did win their tournament. They might put up a respectable game, but I think this is a game where Dillingham and Reed Shepherd get that chip started that's on their shoulder after losing to A&M. So I think it's Kentucky for me.
We did talk about this with who was it? It was one of the 4 Alabama. This game's going to come down to defense. And I know what Kentucky can look like.
It's going to all determine on Kentucky's defense.
Yeah, but Oakland won't keep up score-wise.
With Kentucky, they're a heavily offensive team. That's proven throughout the entire season. They put up good numbers against every team they've played.
We're the second leading scoring team in the nation.
And they have who's the first?
Iowa State, I think.
And if you think about it, Kentucky's got one of the most talented rosters in the tournament.
No, it's UConn. I think
if you look at all the players on their team, I mean, it's all around. It's one of, in my opinion,
It's the most talented
If you look at the
roster.
roster on paper, this is probably one of the best teams in the tournament as far as the roster.
Just straight up on paper roster.
But where they fall short is their defense. But up against the 14 seed, I don't think that really matters. I think this will be a good experience for Kentucky to start off the tournament saying, hey, let's pick up our defense. And then if something falls short against a 14 seed, then hey, we need to pick this up because if we're playing Texas Tech or NC State in the next round, they're both going to be a heavily offensive team, and if our defense can't stop it, then we're going to lose. Yep. But in this round, as far as this one goes, I think Kentucky takes this.
Yeah.
So here's one of the plans. This is where it gets complicated because we have to consider Florida against Boise State and Florida against Colorado. We talked about this when the thing was going through the seedings. Florida just lost their center.
And I think that's the reason why they're not going to go very far.
But here's what I'll say. If Boise State wins, Florida will win. If Colorado wins, then Colorado will win against Florida. With that being said, I think that Colorado will beat Boise State. And the off chance that they do, there's a very slim chance that Boise State can win, which is why I want to pick that play-in game. Whoever wins that, because I think if you look at Colorado in the Pac-12,
Can you go and pick?
This is the one you can't preview because this is one of the play-ins.
I know, but can't you go and choose who you think's gonna win?
I don't think so. No,
you can't.
I think that's on CBS.
Okay.
So if Boise State wins, I think that Boise State will definitely be able to they can definitely beat Florida, but I think Florida will beat Boise State. But if Colorado wins, I think there's really no brainer.
And I think Colorado's going to win.
So I think that's easy. No disrespect to Western Kentucky in this matchup.
It's easily Marquette.
I can't give disrespect to their season, how far they came, and then to win their tournament when they were not as good in their conference, but they still, just like NC State, they got hot in their tournament and they prevailed and won the tournament. But against Marquette, I don't really think being a hot team matters. This is one of those 2 and 15 seeds that we talked about with Arizona and Long Beach State, but all in all, this is one of those teams, Marquette. I really don't think you can count Marquette out.
Yeah, I 100% Marquette.
Tyler Kolek will be back for the tournament.
And Marquette, they made it pretty far last year.
No, they didn't. They lost to Michigan State.
Oh, that's right. You are right. But
I know they made it decently far. Yeah, I think he was in the past couple of years though.
So, I think Marquette.
They were a 2 seed last year too.
Up against Colorado, we'll talk about that after. But up against Colorado, I feel like that's a different story. But we'll get into that one as far as we come back around. Midwest. Purdue's Purdue.
I know they lost to a 16 seed. I don't think they'll do it again.
Here's what I'll say, and I don't want to jinx it, but Purdue has had their butt whippings in the past 2 years. Lost to St. Peter's and who was the other one? FDU. But obviously everyone knows Purdue's Purdue, but I feel like in this instance, I really don't think you can count that team out. Yeah. They proved themselves all season, and I know that they've proved themselves in the past 2 seasons, and they lost to a 16 and a 15 seed. But I feel like this is
there's something different about this.
This is Zach Edey.
They won't be the team to lose to a 16 seed 2 years ago.
I feel like this is Zach Edey's revenge story. He's out for blood. He's blood in the water, and he wants it. And I feel like this is gonna be Zach Edey's year. As it gets farther into the tournament and they beat more competitive teams, it's gonna be a different story. But I mean, Zach Edey, free throw merchant, but he's still a good player, especially on defense. You really can't teach defense as well as Zach Edey's playing. So I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. Montana State's a good team. I have a friend who likes Montana State, and he talks about them a lot. Shout out to you. You know who you are if you're watching this. Grambling, not as good of a team, but Montana State will put up more of a dogfight than Grambling will, but I think at the end, I think Purdue will come out on top. Yep. Utah State, TCU. These 2 teams I don't know much about. All I do know is that Utah State was ranked at some point this season.
They were.
But if you look at,
I think TCU
is in a more competitive division, especially at an 8 and 9.
They also beat Houston. They almost beat Kansas. Rigged refs.
That's why I think that, like I said, they're in a more competitive division, so that's why I think they're.
They were ranked. They've been ranked off and on and off and on and off and on but I think TCU takes that. This one, I think McNeese is the hotter team right now, and I think they'll beat them because last year they had 11 wins. and they didn't fire their coach. They kept their coach, but only one player stayed on that team, and they have 3 losses this year, and they have 30 wins. They are hot as butter.
This is behind
Butter's
That made no sense, but don't worry about it.
Butter's cold.
Shut up.
If you look at the roster that they have compared to like NC State, where they're a hot team right now, I'd put McNeese in one of the top 5 hot seeds right now. Especially if you look at how they finished the season, especially with 3 losses. What is so funny?
I flicked him in the head.
I can't get over the hot as butter. All right. Well, anyways,
We're gonna have to make merch that says "hot as butter."
Shut up. Shut up.
Anyway,
hot as melted.
but I agree with Austin.
If this was last year or the year before, I'd say Gonzaga, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
They haven't really proven it.
But
Other than that, winning against UK.
Earlier this season, Gonzaga lost bad games, beat Kentucky, and then after that they fell off. This was the first year that they weren't ranked in the AP poll for all 18 weeks, and they fell off. And I don't think they're the same team. No disrespect to their coach. Their coach, like Buzz Williams, he's one of the best coaches in the league right now, or in college basketball. There's no doubt about it. Any team would be happy to have him as a head coach. But I feel like with their track record this season and how their record panned out and how they were supposed to perform, just like Michigan State, how they were supposed to perform compared to how they did perform, I feel like McNeese wins this. Yeah. Gonzaga definitely could win this. I'm not saying that you can't count Gonzaga out at all, especially with their coach.
Yeah.
But I think McNeese comes out on top on this one. Unpopular opinion, but I like it.
And this next matchup, I think, with Hunter Dickinson coming back and Kevin McCullough coming back, I think that they will win that. I think they'll win that game.
Player of the year.
They got blasted by who'd they lose to in the Cincinnati? Yeah, they lost to Cincinnati.
They
got blasted by Cincinnati, but they were missing their 2 best players. Any team that's missing their 2 best players is going to struggle.
Yeah,
and now they have
players off any team.
If you take the 2 best players off UConn, they're not that great. If you take the 2 best players off to Houston, it could be said for UNC or any other team.
Stanford is a good team.
Yeah, but I think Kansas takes this one easily.
I agree with that. Stanford's still a good team.
This is gonna be a 12+ win game.
This is gonna be one of those dogfights. This is gonna be one of those games to watch. But if Kansas gets hot in that game and they take off, there's no catching them.
Yeah.
Kansas is one of those teams where if they find that groove and they just keep moving with it, you really can't just get them off.
Yeah, and Bill Self, Gonzaga's coach, even though he's kind of a little outdated, he still figures out how to.
Plus, he's one of the most winningest.
What? Did you say outdated?
Hey, he's kind of getting old. He's kind of getting up there with Coach Cal.
He's one of the most winningest coaches too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's second behind Cal.
Yeah. So you can't.
And active.
I feel like that's a good one.
Easy pick, yeah.
Now I'm gonna go ahead and speak on this one first.
Dante's the best center in the league.
Here's what I'll
disagree with me.
Here's what I'll say. I talked about this in our first episode about college basketball, about how Oregon needed to win out their games to make the tournament. They didn't win out their games, but
they won their tournament. And they beat Arizona.
And they beat Arizona on their way to the tournament. South Carolina had a good season. They beat some really good SEC teams.
Beat Tennessee, UK.
They beat Tennessee, UK. They beat those top tier.
They got dismantled by Auburn twice.
They're kind of like Kentucky. They've shown what they can do, but they've also their losses are.
And Oregon's playing really hot basketball right now. I think Dante, their center, went 12 for 12. He went 12 for 12 in the Pac-12 championship to end the Pac-12 for good. He's arguably playing like the best center in college basketball right now. I have Oregon winning.
I think we all agree that the Ducks out of Eugene, Oregon.
And my pick for a dark horse Final Four, Creighton, will not lose.
This team, no disrespect to Akron, they're a hell of a team. Had a hell of a season. They deserve to be here. They are definitely a team that put their spot on the map, and they won their tournament too, right?
Creighton or Akron?
Akron.
Oh, Akron, yeah.
So
any of those low seeds probably won their tournaments.
So Akron, they're a good team, but I don't think, especially with Creighton beating
UConn.
They beat UConn. They have other competition. Now I know Villanova wasn't the same as they've been in the years past, but they've beaten Villanova. Absolutely blew the doors off.
I think they beat Marquette once too.
So this goes back to my case of teams that are, playing good like ball or teams that are playing better competition or with better competition, and that's where Creighton, I think, kind of outbeats Akron here. Now this one is.
I don't think either of those playing teams are going to beat Texas.
think-
UVA should not have gotten in my opinion.
UVA, their fall off from college basketball needs to be studied. They, as far as how good their team used to be, especially winning the tournament against Auburn or against Texas Tech a few years back, and making their run and making their march. But if you look at Texas and how they've performed this season, yes, they don't have a good record to show for it, but Texas all around is a better team.
Yes.
Their roster top to bottom is better than both those teams. And I think
I might have to agree with you with going with Texas in a future SEC roommate, I guess you want to say.
So here's where it gets interesting. I think we all agree that Tennessee will win. And Austin talked about this when they showed up on the bracket. St. Peter's, obviously, it's the fan favorite. Everyone loves St. Peter's.
They beat UK a couple years ago.
They
were the first 15 seed to go to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, and if you look at St. Peter's, that team that they had, they were a good team, but it's not the same team.
Not the same coach.
Coach is different. Team is different. It's a different team dynamic. This is one of those. This is a 2-15 matchup behind Arizona and Long Beach State. I feel like St. Peter's, if they can get hot, they can beat Tennessee.
Because Tennessee, the problem with Tennessee is they play too much hero ball.
Yeah.
Dalton Knecht
tries to
go
out and win the game for them.
He's a National Player of the Year candidate, but you can't rely on one singular player to carry your team because
if St. Peter's can stop Dalton Knecht, which a lot of teams can't find a way to, which is why they're a 2 seed, which is why they were so good in the SEC and why they were ranked so high this season. But if St. Peter's
can find a way to shut him down,
it's hard to find a way to beat him. No team really found a way to hold him this year. A few teams did, but if St. Peter's is one of those teams that can, which the odds are against them to do that, but I think it's
and I think I agree with both you all. And I watched the Kentucky game when we played at Tennessee, and even though we didn't really stop Dalton Knecht, we stopped the rest of the team, and one player can't win either game.
Yeah.
So I think that game was a great explanation of if a good defensive team runs into Tennessee, they're going to stop all the rest of their team and let Dalton Knecht beat Dalton Knecht. So,
well, that completes the round of 64.
we still have the
where it's round of 32.
Okay.
So now we are on to the round of 32. We are back onto the East with UConn and Northwestern.
This is not even a question.
This is not a question.
We don't even need to talk about this.
As far as UConn's considered, I talked about them I know Tyler had them as his pick too. You can't count UConn out with that team that they had last year and how dominant they were this year. They were ranked
Their coach is
pretty
amazing
much all year long. They're the number 1 overall seed.
They have 3 losses.
Northwestern's a good team. I have no doubt that they'll beat FAU, but their run in March.
As a 1 overall seed, you're gonna have your losses. Not every team's perfect.
So I feel like this is where they fall short.
It's not like that Kentucky team where they went 31-0. No. Even though they did lose in the tournament, you are gonna have your losses as a really good team.
I
don't think this is much of a question.
Yeah. Both Auburn teams or both Alabama teams. Both of them
Honestly,
from Alabama. Here's what I'll say: Auburn is a better team.
Yeah. Oh yes.
No question. Top down, Austin. Top down.
No, I agree with you.
But
they've struggled really, really badly against.
But Bruce Pearl, if you consider the coaches.
I think this will be another game where Bruce Pearl will get you through. Will get you through a game.
Yes.
They're not going to get past UConn.
I see your case with UAB. I can't disagree with UAB. They're really hot right now. They won the tournament. Their tournament is first in the AAC. First year in the AAC, they won the tournament as a 4 seed in their conference. But it's Auburn. You have to think about that. Bruce Pearl is one of the greatest coaches right now.
I get
level of competition in the SEC.
But
they know what they need to do.
Auburn's best win this entire year was only against South Carolina. They didn't beat UK. They didn't beat Tennessee.
Yeah, but who was UAB's best win?
Exactly.
I don't know off the top of my head, but
I will say that UAB will.
All right, I'll agree with you. I think Auburn will.
But I think Auburn. I can't say I wouldn't be surprised if UAB beats Auburn. I won't be surprised if they do. They definitely have the roster to do it. Auburn has that. Like also talk about that streaky resume. But I think if you talk about coaches and how much Bruce Pearl really wants this for his team, I really can't count Auburn out of that.
Yeah.
This one.
Neck cramp.
I thought you were having a stroke for a second. Do you need to take a break?
No, I had a neck cramp. You ever yawn? You ever take like a really, really deep yawn and you stretch your neck so far
Do you need to massage your neck? Here,
that it like cramps up and it hurts?
No brainer.
Yes, Illinois, no talking needed. No talking needed.
Yeah,
No talking.
There's Drake's a good team, but not as good as Iowa State. This one.
See, I see where Mississippi State can put up a fight, but I don't think they're going to be able to outlast North Carolina.
Yeah,
because
that team is, I know I've watched enough games with Austin, watching North Carolina play this season, but with RJ Davis and Baycott with his tournament expertise.
Now they both those two, that duo, went to the championship 2 years ago.
Now
Didn't make the tournament last year, but
now watching the UK and North Carolina game.
it was also really early in the season.
Yeah, it was early in the season, but we did stop a veteran center by making him turn the ball over. So I think the best way for Mississippi State to win that game is to force turnovers with Baycott and to limit. Oh my God!
As long as North
what's his
Carolina
name?
can keep their turnovers.
Who's their point guard?
to a
Who's their
minimum.
point guard?
Who's point guard?
What?
RJ Davis.
Yes, if they limit RJ Davis
As
points.
long as North Carolina can keep the turnovers to a minimum,
Yes.
there's no doubt. This one, hate me if you want, I got Charleston.
I agree with you.
You are gonna beat me out anyway.
I think they play better defense.
Yeah, I mean it's not gonna matter what I pick because he's already got Charleston.
Well, it's gonna be consensus.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Just think about it, because St. Mary's
I think Charleston will be.
St. Mary's never makes it far in the tournament. Let's think about it.
What you all are going with
It's
for
St.
Charleston,
Mary's.
I think
Come on, let's be
Charleston
real.
will be the Cinderella story.
Too.
Exactly.
What?
That's gonna come back to bite me in the butt. What's the final four?
What?
He goes,
I
St.
guess
Mary's
it
who?
is
And he turns around and he goes, that's going to bite me in the butt, isn't
Yeah,
it?
if they need the final four, we need to make an edit of me just going, St. Mary's who, and then them in the final four.
No, don't-
Story.
Don't worry, I'll make sure to do that.
But I mean,
I think Charleston will be the Cinderella story of this
of
year's.
this, yeah. This is where it gets interesting. You have a 3 and a 6. Both teams have the resume to beat each other. This is one of those ones where you can flip a coin and you can pick the team based off that. But
Give me Baylor.
Give me Clemson.
Here's a deciding vote now. Okay, think about it.
here's what I'll say.
Here,
I'm gonna say my
we'll
stuff.
plead our cases. You go.
Here's what I'll say.
No, let me plead my case.
Let me say my thing, and I'll let y'all say your stuff, and then I'll go based off that. Clemson plays in a better competitive conference. Baylor has a better resume than Clemson. So, like I said, I'm 50-50 here. I want to see.
Baylor's got a better coach, got a better team, got more experience. Clemson hasn't been in the tournament in a long time. They weren't in it last year.
All right, next.
What matters in March the most? Like you say it all the time.
They're not hot.
Teams that get hot.
They lost to Boston College in the ACC tournament.
Okay, well you can lose, but they also have.
But it's Boston College. Let's be real.
Both of y'all turn around. I'm gonna click my pick, and y'all gonna turn around and see who I got. All right. All right. Y'all saw who I picked. Y'all know who I picked. Y'all can see it. I can see it. Open your eyes.
Suck a fat.
Tyler, here's the thing. Tyler, I don't disagree with what you're saying. Clemson's gonna be that hot team. I think that Clemson can get hot, like you were talking about, and like you said in March, it's what teams get hot, not what teams are better. If Clemson can get hot, they can beat Baylor. But on paper, and I know that's not what matters in March, but off this, just looking at it, I really can't go against Baylor. Like Austin said, coach, roster.
More experience.
So, all right. I want to keep this moving.
Give me Long Beach State.
I got Long Beach State.
Yes.
I got Long Beach State. I got Long Beach State. I feel like Long Beach.
Hey, the last 2 years, St. Peter's made it to the Elite Eight. Princeton made it to the Sweet 16. I think that streak keeps going.
Now, this is what I will say.
Oh, and don't forget, Oral Roberts made it to the Sweet 16 3 years ago.
There's a 15 seed that makes it to the Elite Eight. Or the
No,
Sweet
at least the Sweet 16.
this is the team I feel like is going to make the 2016.
And Dayton, I feel like Dayton's one of those teams where it's like, yeah, they're good, but if Long Beach State beats Arizona, it gives them a huge confidence boost.
That's going to be because that's why I think that
That's why FDU, St. Peter's, Princeton.
Because when they beat those good teams, like
you play that matchup 10
hell,
times,
we can beat
they probably
anything,
so, lose
so,
that 9 times out of 10.
I got Long Beach State.
Yep. I totally agree with you all.
And
that is going to be another bet place.
We could be completely wrong about this. Arizona could beat them in the first round, but out of all the 15 seeds, there's always one that loses. And out of all the
this
two
is the
seeds,
pick that we think.
This is the 2 seeded that we all think that will lose. No disrespect to Arizona, their roster, what they've done this season, their coach, but that's what we got to go with.
Another bet placed.
So, all right, we are back to the South Division.
Not even a question. Just go ahead and pick them.
Let me make a case real quick. Because
for Texas A&M.
For Texas A&M.
I know. I backed up A&M.
No. Just listen. Let me make a case. I don't think Texas A&M will win. But if you look at last year, what happened to all the number 1 seeds? Kansas lost to number 9, or lost to number 8 Arkansas. Alabama.
Almost went backwards.
We're gonna forget that even happened. Alabama lost to who did they lose to? Oh, San Diego State, 5-seeded San Diego State. Purdue lost to 16-seeded FDU, and was the last number 1 seed last year. I don't remember.
Kansas.
No, I already said Kansas.
Purdue.
Baylor.
Houston.
It was Baylor.
No, it wasn't.
It
No.
Was.
No, it wasn't.
Because Baylor was the 1 seed in North
I
Carolina.
need to know this now.
Because Baylor was the 1 seed.
It was Gonzaga.
No, because Austin, trust me, it was Baylor.
Because they didn't have Drew Timme last year.
Baylor beat. They were the 1 seed.
Did they?
Won.
Yeah,
and
they did.
North Carolina was the 8 seed, and they beat.
Hold on.
Baylor.
Hold on.
They beat Austin. You watched the game.
I'm pulling it up.
It was Baylor. Time to bring me my money.
Don't say that. Hold on. I'm finding it.
Baylor.
Houston.
I told you.
It was Houston.
But last year was the year that Baylor was the 1 seed, and then North Carolina was the
No,
8
that
seed.
was 2 years ago. It was 2022.
You're thinking of the
Okay,
COVID.
well, I was still right, but just a different year.
So Houston lost. I don't remember who they lost to. Oh, it was Miami. They lost to Miami. All
They
those
made the Final Four.
all those 4 1 seeds went down within the first 3 rounds at least. I don't think Houston will win, but I would not sleep.
You mean A&M? You don't think that A&M will win?
I don't think A&M will win, but I think that there's a chance if they play enough. We saw. I feel like
it's an 80-20.
I will eat my own words on this because I said the other day.
I think it's more of a 75-25.
This was off camera. I said this to my dad the other day. I told him, "Can you quit falling out of your chair before I shove you out of your chair myself?"
Okay,
I said something to my dad the other day where it was like, Houston looks so unbeatable. It's not even funny. I think they will run through every team. And 3 days later, after I said that, they lost and got blown out by Iowa State. So I would not be surprised if they lost in the tournament to Texas A&M in the second.
Alright.
I don't think this is a no-brainer. I think this is a no-brainer.
Hear me out. Austin, I know you know what I'm about to say.
I think it's Duke.
No, you know what I'm about to say.
What?
2013.
Revenge? It was 2015. It was 2015.
2015, whatever. 2015.
You just gave me unnecessary flashback.
Just listen.
UK sold
Just
that
listen,
year.
just
If
listen,
you guys
just
don't
listen,
remember,
just
UK
listen.
went 38-0
No,
and
we
then
didn't
lost.
sell.
Hey,
Okay, they beat
I have
us.
the floor.
Frank the Tank.
I have the floor. All right, I'll set the scene real quick. 2015.
Just skip through this. Come on, you don't need to do those.
It was final. I was
You
going
don't.
my bracket. I
You
was
do
going
not
my
need to do all
bracket.
this. You do not need to do all this. You
Shut
do
up.
not need to do all
I
this.
had Wisconsin.
You do not need to do all
winning
this.
the championship.
You do not need to do all
No one
this.
thought that Wisconsin.
You do not need to do all
Austin,
this.
shut up. Wisconsin. No one had them beating UK. I had them beating UK.
This is not 2015.
On my birthday.
This is 2015.
On my birthday.
Is this 2015?
On my birthday.
No, Tyler.
Wisconsin beat Kentucky, and I've never been happier in my entire life.
It's okay.
That was
It's
the
okay.
highest I've
It's
ever
okay.
been in my
It's
entire
okay.
This
life.
is an
It's okay.
unneeded flashback.
Hey, it's
okay.
It's
I
okay.
still love
My
Look
life
at me,
was
still love
ruined
me.
that day.
Look
I
at me.
cried.
Look at me.
I was
Look
an
at me.
8-year-old little boy.
Look at me.
I
Look at
cried.
me. No, I didn't.
We need to stop.
Look at me. Look at
We
me.
need to stop.
Tyler.
Let's choose Duke
Damn it, Tyler.
and move the
Look
hell
me in the
on.
eyes.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Let's
Is it
move on with
2015
Duke.
again? Is it 20?
Let's move on with
I'm gonna give you a
Duke.
hug. I'm gonna give you a
Let's
hug.
move on with Duke.
I got Wisconsin.
And
I got Wisconsin.
I got Duke.
I got Duke too.
They'll suck.
Is it 2015 anymore? No, it is not.
Give me North Carolina State.
No, hold on. Let me say something. Where did Rob Dillingham commit to first before he went to UK?
North Carolina State.
North Carolina State.
And he's going to show why.
They're mad about that. They're mad about that. Not only that, but they're also the hottest team
Here's my question.
in the league.
What's the fat dude on NC State?
DJ Burns.
Who's guarding him?
Who's guarding him? He made Baycott look like a damn baby.
Okay, but tell me this.
No, he made Baycott look like a baby.
Tell me this.
There's a consensus. It's 2-1.
Tell me this. Is he going to be able to deal with 3 7-footers?
Dude, he's 295 pounds.
All he has to do is lower his shoulder.
All he has to do is, like I said, Baycott's taller than, or weighs more and is more aggressive.
All I'm going to say is, look what we did when we threw 7-footers against.
Guys, we started this when it was light out. Now it's fine.
Okay. Well, anyways, look at what Kentucky did when they threw 3 7-footers at Armando Baycott. I know. Listen. I know it was early in the season. I know everybody's out there to play in the beginning of the season. I think Kentucky gets this done mainly because I don't think their guards would be able to keep up with us.
No, DJ Thorne. Here's the thing. I agree with you on that part, but it's not.
We have too many options that we can throw at people. I know they haven't been the best all season, but if they can peak, if Kentucky peaks in this tournament, I don't see a way to where anybody can stop us.
But had UK won the SEC tournament, I would be sitting here saying UK is going to win because they would have. Hold on, listen.
The SEC tournament didn't really matter for Kentucky.
They wouldn't because they would have been the hottest team because they in that winning streak that they had, they beat Tennessee, they beat Alabama, they beat Auburn. Other than that one loss to LSU, but if you take that one loss out, they beat Auburn, Alabama, and Tennessee all in the span of a week and a half, right?
I don't see.
And they would have run through.
But look at when Kentucky has played ACC teams.
That you have to throw that part of the equation out of it.
But Kentucky hasn't lost to any ACC teams in forever.
But Kentucky also hasn't made it past the round of 32.
And this is the year they have the talent to do so.
They also had the talent when they played against St. Peter's. They had the talent last year when they played against Kansas State.
We did not have the talent when we played against St. Peter's.
You had the talent against Kansas State and still lost.
I mean,
Kansas State was not the better team.
You're going to lose in the tournament. When we played St. Peter's, we did not have the talent to go past St. Peter's. I will agree with that.
I just think that NC State is.
Louisville was a 6 seed.
Yeah. They fell off after the end of the year. I just think that
I think Kentucky gets this done, mainly because they're going to pick up their defense against Oakland. I know Oakland isn't the best. Shut up. I know Oakland isn't the best as far as offensive wise. But they're going to pick up their defense against Oakland.
I'll agree with you. I'll agree with you. I think it's UK, but just make it be known that if UK loses to NC State, I'm going to make sure to put that on the internet.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, go ahead, Brayden.
I will let Kentucky be Kentucky.
All right, Brayden, go ahead, pick UK. Except I just don't see them making it past Marquette.
Do we really have to talk about this one?
Nope.
No, but you have to keep in mind that there's an 11 seed that always makes it to, or a high result seed that makes it to the Final Four.
That's why I thought it would be NC State. Give me TCU.
Yes. Wait, are they in the same conference?
No.
TCU is Big 12.
I think TCU is a better matched up team because Purdue has shown its inconsistency.
Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to picture this perfectly, and this is going to be right. Purdue is going to play such a low-level team that their competition, as far as mentally, is going to go down.
Yeah.
And Utah State is playing TCU, who Utah State has played good all year, and TCU is going to beat them. And TCU's competition is just only going to go up a little bit more.
Yeah.
So TCU's competition, as far as mental-wise, is going to be way over Purdue. And that's my thought. That's my thought process behind that.
Give me Kansas on this.
Kansas. Bill Self is going to get him past that game. Creighton. 100%.
Creighton. Come on.
It's already
Creighton's the better team.
2 out of 3.
Creighton made it to the Elite Eight last year.
Creighton's got the better resume.
Yeah, better team. Give me.
Now this might be this is probably going to be the best second round matchup that we will see.
I'll take Texas.
This is an SEC preview for next year.
I'll take Texas.
Now here's my question: is Texas defense good?
Yes.
Then they're going to get past Tennessee.
Give me Texas.
They're going to get past Tennessee.
All right, that completes our round of 32. We are on to our Sweet 16. All right. This is where it gets
UConn.
Okay, never mind. That's going to be interesting.
Auburn's not going to be able to keep up with.
I got Illinois.
Give me Iowa State.
I got Illinois.
See, I haven't watched many. They're in the same conference. I know that, right?
No.
They're not.
Iowa State's Big 12. Illinois is Big 10.
Wait, yeah, okay. So their competition is.
Illinois is
It's
not
different.
that great of a team. I think
The thing with Iowa State is they have.
they've got the best, probably well-rounded team out of all the 2 seeds, and
They're going to be an up and down the floor kind of people, or kind of team, and I don't think Illinois will be able to handle that.
Pace.
Yes. So I think Iowa State's going to outbeat them because of their pace.
Yeah.
Give me Charleston.
I'm going to pretend like you didn't just say that. I'm going to take North Carolina. They got more experience. They got more depth.
Yeah, go with UNC. I was just messing with them.
All right. All right. The Cinderella.
Braden.
The Cinderella story.
No,
continues.
give me Baylor. I think this is where
Go back. Yeah, go back with UNC.
give me North Carolina. Give me Baylor. I think this is where their run comes to an end. I just don't see.
See,
it
here's my
happening.
process.
North Carolina cannot have that easy of a cakewalk to the tournament.
Here's my
Or to the
process.
Final
Here's
Four.
my process. We chose Charleston and Long Beach as our Cinderella stories, and we can't give up on both of them. So we got to choose one or the other.
Fine, give me Long Beach State.
I don't think the.
I just don't see them making.
We gotta go with one of them. Either.
All right, give me Long Beach State. Give me Long Beach State.
I feel more confident going with Long Beach State than Charleston.
I'm gonna laugh if they lose first round.
I'm gonna cry myself to sleep.
I have to bet his mortgage on it.
Holy. This would
Holy
definitely be
matchup.
the matchup of the Sweet 16. 100%.
Give me Duke.
I think
See,
Filipowski brings the heat.
I
See,
think-
here's the thing. The more you get into the tournament, the more offense that's played. And who has the better offense?
Duke.
Yes. I say we go with Duke. I know Houston, it looks like they're unbeatable. I know their defense is there, but when it comes to this part of the tournament, your offense is what's going to get you through. And your because if you look when UNC and Duke played, you can tell there wasn't much defense being played. It was who can go on longer runs. So I think we do.
I know you're gonna hate me for this take. I got Kentucky.
The reason why I'm gonna say Marquette is they have the better team. Tyler Kolek is
I understand
elite.
that they're the better team, but I made this point to Tyler millions of times this season, to Tanner millions of times this season, to you, to Grandma, to Dad, to everyone. If Kentucky's that streaky team that I'm questionable about.
If we
But if they can power past NC State,
all right. Give me UK then. I just
see,
disagree with that, but
I don't know much about Marquette, and I'm pretty sure we lost to them in one of these past tournaments.
You have not played. UK
I
has
think
not
no,
played
I think
Marquette,
we
I don't
have,
think ever.
or I'm tripping about somebody else.
You're tripping.
It might have been
something
Murray
else.
State.
as much as a U of L fan, as much as I hate Kentucky, I feel like
As
far as competition goes, SEC is better.
I thought they should have lost after the NC State, but it's just.
I
me.
do too, but I feel like
These Kentucky picks are
I'm
we're
gonna
going off
laugh.
their ceiling.
I'm gonna laugh.
We
Yeah,
will
this
expect.
is based off their ceiling. So
We
if
will
Kentucky's at
yes.
the highest that they can go. Call me crazy.
All right, just move on. Just move on.
These picks are off their ceiling. So
You just haven't
shit.
finished with that side.
I got-
Give me TCU.
I got Kansas. I got
TCU beat
I-
almost beat
Bill
Kansas. in Allen Parkhouse.
Bill Self
I
gets
can't
it.
go against Bill Self.
Bill Self gets it done. He did get it done.
Yeah, but
a
if
few
you
years
know,
ago.
I don't know if you've noticed, but Kansas has been struggling as
Alright,
of
well,
late.
it's 2 against 1, so.
Let's go with you.
Not a lot of upsets, but
I got Texas.
no.
I think
Creighton.
I think Texas beats Creighton. in a
Creighton's a
surprise.
better team.
It doesn't matter who's the better team.
Yes, but in this scenario, I just don't. That matchup is just not fair with Texas.
I need to look at the preview. I need to. Is that show stats and everything? Oh no, it shows something went wrong.
Yeah, because Tyler, you're an idiot.
Well,
Oh my God.
Oh my. Go back. Just keep hitting the back button.
Tyler, you just had to ruin it.
All right. Well, we will be back and we will put our picks back through.
A few moments later.
All right, so the bracket got deleted, so we had to go through the entire thing again. And remember which picks we had. Well, as far as we're concerned, this is the right matchup. So, we're back with Creighton and Texas.
Creighton. Yeah.
Creighton.
Okay. But if you look at the only
Doesn't matter. 2-1.
Oh,
Shut
no,
up.
maybe hit the preview and you can see.
the only 15
Um,
Alright, so
I
now-
actually have you. Iowa State. Why did I say it like that? Iowa State. That sounds worse. Give me. Fine. Give me UConn. I just think Iowa State could potentially beat that team, and it wouldn't even be close, or they could lose outright.
This is where the Kentucky falls short. Could they beat Duke?
I swear to God.
Could they beat Duke? Yes. Will they beat Duke? No.
See,
Also
the
say
thing
Duke.
is, hold on.
No.
Let me hold on. No. I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say. Let me.
No.
No.
Listen to what he has.
Let me talk. I'm gonna back up my team here, and say that we can put up a fight against anybody in the country, but also with our defense. I don't think our defense is going to last this long, and I agree with you when I say this is where we fall short, because if you look at Kentucky's past resume with Duke, it's not the best.
Duke owns you guys.
Duke owns us.
In the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2000s.
I do agree with, not the 2000s. I agree with you all with that's where Kentucky falls short.
This is where the Cinderella story falls short.
Yep.
I
love Long Beach State, and I love rooting for them, but they're not going to be able to handle North Carolina.
This is where
This will probably be the best.
I think it's Creighton.
I got Kansas.
You're deciding what then? I got Creighton, and the only reason why is because I told you that they were a dark horse. I think this is
not
where
a dark horse. They're a 3 seed.
Doesn't 3
A
seed
dark horse
dark?
would be like a 6 or a 7.
It doesn't like
Okay.
no one would pick Creighton to win the national championship.
Tyler.
I just think Kansas has underperformed this year, and they're struggling. They're reeling.
All right, I'm going to make this dramatic. Close your eyes.
I think that Kansas is underperformed.
They're closed.
All right, hold on. Give me a second. All right, you all can open. I think Creighton's offense will outlast the up and down.
Wait a minute.
Look, they're all blue teams.
Oh, great. We just showed all blue bloods besides Kentucky. Let's get it.
Creighton's a blue blood.
Yes.
No, if we had now that aren't you glad you picked Creighton? Because if we picked Kansas, it would have been UConn, North Carolina.
They're all blue bloods.
We're all blue bloods.
All right. I feel like
Okay.
it's gonna be UConn.
Listen.
Tyler, just say UConn.
No, listen. Hear me out before you say anything. UConn and North Carolina played earlier this season. It was the game right before UNC played UK. I know UConn won, but when they played us, they were outstandingly the best team that we've played all season, probably by far, by a mile. I think that they learned their lesson from that. And teams that usually rematch for a second time that are out of conference.
Here's what I'll say. At some point, you have to stop defending your team. Tyler did it. I did it. Well, my team, you all picked.
Yeah, but listen. UNC has the most experience. I understand that.
UConn won it last year.
Yeah, and UNC was one half away from winning it in 2022 when they weren't supposed to, and they still have their 2-star players from that team.
That's not what I'm saying, Austin. I think UConn, dude, it's.
Close your all's eyes.
Let Tyler decide.
Let me decide. And I will explain later.
I won't even be mad if he picks against UNC. I just think that they've learned their lesson and they'd be prepared for a rematch.
Don't open yet. Give it a second. Let it settle in. Now open your eyes.
I hate you.
Here's why.
You said you would be mad.
I won't even be mad if he picks against UNC. I just think
Here's why. North Carolina got absolutely exposed by Kentucky. And what do you mean with that look? Do I need to pull up the picture?
It was early in the season.
Do I need to pull up the pat? Do I need to pull up?
No.
Hold on, no. Hold on, I don't care. I don't care.
I agree with you.
I don't care.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Do I need to?
I agree with you.
Do I need?
Son, I agree.
Shut up.
Okay. Stop.
Do I need to pull up the video of the pass where Cormac Ryan didn't even look at the ball and just kept running? But here's my thinking behind this. Shut up. This is why it's a podcast for the reason. we are all gonna argue, but I don't get to really talk much besides you two, and here's what I'm gonna say. Kentucky exposed the absolute crap out of UNC, and I think UConn's coach will prepare him way better.
I already told him I agree with
than
him.
Hubert Davis will. So, I think UConn will.
Can you quit yo yapping?
Hate me if you want. I got Duke.
Creighton.
I got Duke.
I think Creighton's better.
You can't count out Duke.
Quit defending your team!
That's not my team.
Didn't he say he was a Duke fan?
It's not mine.
Dookie Pookie?
Okay, I got Duke. Tyler,
I have
Duke.
Creighton.
Alright.
Close your eyes.
Alright, turn around.
I think Creighton has a better chance of making it. Never mind, give me Duke, because they're in the same conference, so that really makes no
Well,
sense.
that didn't take long. Okay.
All right. I'll let you all yap, because I know who I'm
UConn.
going to go with.
I got UConn.
You got UConn?
First team to repeat since Florida did it in 06 and 07.
You got UConn?
Even though it should have been North Carolina.
Here's the thing with Duke. Their coach is brand new. He hasn't got this
He's been there
experience.
for like a year.
3 years.
Well, he wasn't a head coach.
3 years.
He would not for a head
2 years, actually.
Head coach is a lot different from an assistant.
No, he was a head coach 2 years ago.
Listen. Duke's head coach is freshly new when it comes to being a head coach. And it is a lot different from being an assistant. He doesn't have this experience yet. He's going to get there. And I agree with you all with UConn to win it all.
Oh, real. This is
I'm about to back
this
in.
is a really crappy bracket.
Hold on.
Alright,
And he's going to get that experience. And eventually he will win it. But we are going to have UConn as our ultimate.
Alright, total points.
I never get that crap
7.
right.
Um,
Defensive masterclass.
146.
Fair. All right. It's like
Wait, how
70
many
apiece.
total
That's-
points
it's
are
like-
scored in the...
Combined.
You said
Hold on.
146, but I did 121.
Wait, we got to think about divided by 2. What's 140?
That's
doesn't
roughly.
matter.
It doesn't matter because that's. You think both
It's
teams are gonna
100
tie?
it's
Are both
73
teams gonna
to-
tie?
No!
It's 73 to 73. That's split in half.
Well, I know that, but I'm just saying, like, what team... What
There.
do we think
There,
both teams are going to get to?
There. 155. That's
Just go with it.
that's 75 to.
Just go with it. Just go
I think
with
whatever 75 divided by 2 plus 1.
All right, thank you. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully our bracket's actually correct. And we'll come out with a new episode soon.
Make sure to hit that like button,
Until
subscribe button.
then-
You always can change your mind.
Subscribe, like, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
The only high seed overall we have in here.
it. That's why I disagree. This is a bracket. I'm sorry.
You know what? I'm sorry.
Hey, no, what? We can't go back. We've
Just
already
did.
chose.
Just did.
No, go back.
Stop.
Brain,
No.
Make me.
We
No,
we went and chose.
I'm not gonna make a bracket that has UK going past the Sweet 16, but whatever.
If we make it past the Sweet 16,
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna kill you.
Dab and reset.
All right, and I'm officially out of this.
Alright,
I'm
so-
gone.
No, get your
Later.
get your. You're a idiot. You're
Why would you trust anything I say?
right. I don't know how long this video is, but it's gotta be longer than a hour.
Let me cook.
Baylor.
Shut the
Dayton.
Can y'all shut the up?
Houston,
Shut
A&M.
Duke.
Austin. Off. That was cute.
Texas.
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 Tennessee.
Texas.
TCU.
TCU.
Dumbass.
Sorry.
I had I yawned. I was like, and I struck. Ow! I did it again. Well, I stretched my mouth too wide. Pause. And just keep going.